Tomah Limited Edition, a group that some people say just popped up within the past 3 years. How does this work? What are the inner workings of the show choir? I know this interviewer was curious, so I decided to interview 4 different people who have different roles in the show choir, but are part of the same show choir family. So, Josh, if you had to pick one thing that you love most about show choir, what would it be?
I think my favorite part with show choir was probably getting to interact with so many different schools. It's just a really fun environment to be in.
So, walk me through a show choir competition.
Alright, so a show choir competition. Well, it starts very early. The earliest I've had to be at the school was 4 in the morning, and some of the girls had to get up at least an hour, maybe 2 hours before that, and then it goes. We get on a bus and we go for a few hours to wherever our competition is. Then we unload all of our stuff from our trailer. Then we go to our room, and then we go and warm up and perform. And we find out if we make finals or not, which is always exciting. And then if we do make finals, we perform again. And then we wait for awards, which again is a very exciting moment. And then we get back usually the next day at like 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning.
So, Emily, what's your favorite part of show choir?
Probably the competitions. It's a fun atmosphere to be a part of. It's a fun thing to look forward to. Gotta love show choir Saturdays.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite part of a show choir competition?
Well, that would have to be a tie between the traveling that I get to do with my friends as we go back and forth to the competitions and seeing all of the different show choirs perform. I like the different music, I like the different costumes, all the different choreography styles. So it's a toss-up between traveling back and forth and hanging out with my friends who are fellow show choir lovers like me and watching all the performances.
What would you say is your favorite part of like watching the performances and whatnot?
My favorite part is seeing how excited everyone is, seeing what a good time that they're having. I know how much work goes into it, so seeing them smiling and like the little glances they give to each other, knowing, their little inside jokes and remember when we learned this or that sort of thing, I can feel that when I watch them perform. So I think that's what I like the best about watching the performances.
What would you say is your favorite part about show choir?
My favorite time of the year is for sure competition. Also seeing the kids grow from the beginning to the end. That's really fun. But yes, definitely competition season, getting to go and travel with the group and watching them perform and watching all our hard work come to fruition.
Mm-hmm. So, how do you prepare for a competition?
Well, in the summer, actually way before, usually May, June, me and Miss Pluger sit down and we start to talk about our theme. And we usually start picking our songs. We get with our choreographer, then we have camp, and we just start learning all the dances, learning all the songs, and then throughout the whole season we just work and clean and prepare for January when we start our competitions.
How has this group grown from the summer to now?
We've become more of a family, for one, and have become a close, tighter group.
In your opinion, how has the show choir grown from previous years?
Well, it's interesting to me. My son has been in show choir. This is his 5th year. He started in 7th grade. So just watching the progression of their ages and their abilities and that sort of thing. But even watching the high school show choir before he was in it, I feel like there's just a lot more polish to it. I pick up on a lot more differences in the dynamics and stuff within the group itself, as well as vocally and things like that. So I think it's grown just experience-wise. So.
And would you say, with him growing up, would you say you've kind of become one of their parents as well, kind of seeing them?
Definitely. I love to see them all perform, even though as a parent I'm definitely watching my kid perform. I love to watch Alan perform. I'm looking at all of his friends that he's been in show choir with for the past 5 years who, I get that same joy out of watching them as I do with him. And I love that they can come talk to me if their parent isn't around, or even if their parent is around. I like to offer a different I like to think that I can offer a different perspective and things like that. A lot of them have been to my home on many occasions for different things, and I just get a lot of joy out of seeing them and seeing them see me and the audience when I catch their eye when they're performing. So, yeah, they're all my kids.
What's this year's show about?
This year's show is supposed to be a journey about Tomah's show choir itself, as to say we've come this far and we're gonna keep going, and there's nothing else somebody can stop us from.
Okay. So, how would you say the girls are doing in this group?
I think the girls are doing really, really well, actually. They bring some sass that I've not seen before. Like in their girls number, they get really sassy, and it's just really fun to watch, and they bring a whole new energy.
Do they sound mature for such a young age?
I think they do, actually. I think originally they had an issue with that, but now I think a lot of them have figured it out.
So how would you say the guys are doing in this group?
Pretty well, actually. We had a lot of those older, more macho guys, I suppose, last year, so they had big shoes to fill this year, but I think they're doing a really awesome job.
So how is this year's group different from last year's group, would you say?
This year's group is definitely younger. We have we lost 26 seniors last year, so that was, and only had, I think, 15 kids that came in, so it's definitely, we have a huge freshman and sophomore year, so it's definitely younger voices, so we were expecting it, the sound to be sounding younger and not picking up dances as well.
Would you say, like, the group being the younger group, would you say that's the biggest challenge that this group has had
I
to
think
overcome?
so, especially at the beginning. They've proved us wrong, though, so that's been really fun to see. So.
What was the biggest challenge this group had to overcome this year?
I think the biggest challenge this group had to overcome was with a lot of young members and coming off of such a good year last year. I think just coming up to that expected standard was...
And would you say we're doing pretty well with that?
Yes, I think we've exceeded that, actually.
Really? Wow. Yeah. If you had to describe this year's show choir in one word, what would it be?
One word: talented.
Talented.
Competitive, for sure.
It would be excitement.
For sure, our theme of the show is unstoppable. Again, we were very doubtful with this year, a little nervous, but I know they've proved me wrong, so it's been really exciting to see their growth throughout this year.
Talented, competitive, energetic, and unstoppable. These are just 4 words to describe this amazing show choir. This has been Caleb, dancing away with this interview.